Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, it's the most lucrative time of the year. Happy season's greetings. Transfer portal season, that is. Today we're talking salaries, budgeting, cash considerations, open market considerations, and more of our favorite things from the world of college football. Next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to start this thing off right. Everything runs through Lubbock.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get them cash. Today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and that's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. So post your job for free today at linkedin.com/locked-on. College terms and conditions apply. Seems very, very fitting. We're talking about posting jobs, finding jobs fast and for free, Chris, because here we are, the big day, December 4th. Happy transfer portal season to all who celebrate. Officially open now. Previous announcements would only indicate an intention to enter a transfer portal. But, Chris, here we are actually with the window open, and it's going to happen. Here's the phrase of the year, fast and furiously. Once again, you already maybe seen some big names across the country by the point in which you are listening to this. And obviously we've had a few Red Raiders to consider as well. But Chris, this is one of those entirely new experiences that college football offers us these days. Once upon a time, December 4th was the day before December 5th, I guess. I don't know what significance it carried, but now it's a whole nother variety, one of the more significant days within the athletic calendar.
Yeah, and it's speed dating for I mean
that's a great way to put it.
I mean it's because this portal is gonna it opens this morning, and if you lose players, which most every program will at some level, if you're going to try to replace them via the portal, it's just going to go really fast. What's didn't they used to have those like speed dating nights where you see in movies where you sit down and you sit at a table and have a conversation every 15 minutes, you like rotate and you're like eliminating people as throughout and you see who you end up with or something. I don't know. Maybe that was in the
40-year-old virgins.
There you go. This is what I'm thinking about. Yes.
Gina.
Yes. Kelly Clarkson. That whole deal. But yeah.
Never know where we're going to go.
That's right. You never know. But that's what essentially these days are, because there's not a lot of time to get visits hosted to, I don't know. There's just, because this portal closes at the first of the year, and and then spots fill up and all those kinds of things. So yeah, and obviously Texas Tech has 7-ish entries so far. I think I set the over-under with you the other day at 7.5. It's going to go over. It's going to go over. It's going to go over. So I think you'll see some more enter, and some of this could play out. There are guys on every roster too that could end up not entering ultimately until after they go through bowl prep and then spring and go, you know what, I tried, it's just not working here, I'm going to enter in the late period. But I think there's, because I think Coach McGuire had some rough conversations with some folks last year at this time. Like, if you don't, if we don't see a lot, out of you in the spring, maybe this place isn't for you. You're just not going to get to play much or at all or whatever. And, but yeah, right now, receiver and offensive line have made the news, and the quarterback news from Tyler Shuck was, obviously a few weeks ago now.
You better already have your ducks in a row. It's kind of like a garage sale. If it starts at 7 and you get there at 7:05, you're late, because they're 5:50 waiting outside your house for that sun to come up and a bargain to be found. I don't know if there are any bargains to be found anymore in college football. What was it? Matt Rule, Nebraska head coach, who was now been quoted many times saying, yeah, you want a good QB, or maybe it was just any player, it's $1.5 million. So you're thinking salary, budgets. And of course, where does that fall on? Us, the fan. Oh, please help us. We have to contribute. So I hope you are anteing up out there, folks, if you're wanting to upgrade anything, because it's on you. But yeah, man, it's just and I'm, by the way, not sentimental about any of this. I don't care. Let them go out there and get their cash. Fine by me. I hope Texas Tech is able to compete in those spaces, but a much different experience, and one that technically is sitting here with an opening day, I suppose. But good Lord, Chris, how long have these wheels actually been turning? I know you probably get a season concluded for the most part, but you begin to identify guys that aren't playing here or there, guys you previously recruited here or there. Somebody's homesick, somebody's from Texas, and they're playing in Anchorage, Alaska. This has to be going on for a while, right? I mean, there's got to be some kind of hot sheet, I guess, for many, many weeks now, stretching into the past, that this has been considered.
Yeah, and you're talking about like if you're trying to guys you're trying to replace.
Yeah, identifying targets and
yeah, that's where James Blanchard and like Brian Nance and that part of the organization are really leaned on here, because it's up to them to evaluate and whenever you have to trust them. If you're Joey McGuire, that they're really good at their jobs, because when you start seeing, because this past weekend you had kids in from D1 kids in, there's kids from junior college, there's kids from Division II, from all parts, and some of which had a variety of offers from Power 5 D1 type schools too. But you're trusting that their evaluation is solid on if and if you're going to roll on them and try to bring them into the fold. But your offensive line needs attention. It is the number one position right now, and you've had kids in this past weekend. You'll have more kids in this weekend that play that position. It's not like you're just looking for a tackle or a guard. It's the answer is, yes, we're looking for help. We're looking for immediate help. We're looking for depth. We're looking for upgrades. And now you're looking for a new left tackle next year.
That's right. That's right. We'll get to coming up in just a bit some of what's going down or what we can anticipate bowl game wise along the offensive line within your group of wide receivers. We got to hear from Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire yesterday in one of the more entertaining bowl selection press conferences I've ever seen. It was basically an experience in which senior citizen knows how to navigate a Zoom call. Not many. It's a low percentage. Check it out for yourself there on YouTube if you'd like to see the whole thing. Maybe get a belly laugh or two. We'll let you see a little bit of it here today on Locked On at Texas Tech. We'll get to the guys up front. We'll get to the guys out wide in just a moment. But as I alluded to yesterday, Chris, I know we've got all these things to consider as far as portal and stuff like that. But there's one thing I've been considering, and you and I have talked about it over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, that maybe there's a little bit more of a chance that Taj Brooks could be extending his Red Raider career. And that obviously, I guess there could be some things to read between the lines as far as playing in or not playing in a bowl game whenever it comes to some indication of what the future could hold for Taj Brooks. I said yesterday I had to go Shawshank on you and wonder if in Independence Stadium there was going to be a Brooks was here carved anywhere in the stadium, meaning that number 28 was toting the rock on December 16th. I've been hoping, wishing, praying, thinking all those things, lighting candles and whatnot, that he was going to be a part of the team again next season. And of course, also including a bowl game coming up in a couple of weeks. And if you didn't get to hear it, Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire did chime in with his expectation as to what Taj Brooks would be doing December 16th. Here's Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire. First, today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. And if you've got a small business looking to hire new employees, you're hoping for the biggest pool of top-tier candidates possible. And that's exactly why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn has all the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free, all on one easy-to-use and secure platform. And LinkedIn isn't just another job board. They've got a far-reaching network of more than 1 billion professionals, and hiring the best becomes easy when you have that many qualified candidates. So easy that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within only 24 hours. With all the hats you wear as a business owner, the time or resources to hire quality candidates can be hard to come by, but LinkedIn carries the load for you with the quick, easy, and intuitive process. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free today with LinkedIn Jobs. Terms and conditions apply. Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire did chime in with his expectation as to what Taj Brooks would be doing December 16th. Here's Red Raider head coach Joey McGuire.
I would expect him to play. He's got a lot of things in front of him, and then he's got a big decision. He's still got he has another year, to come back or declare for the draft. And, I know this weekend he went home. We gave our guys off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so he went home to sit down with his parents and talk through, what the next step is for him.
Chris, got my attention. I don't know what I was expecting necessarily, but how'd that strike you?
You can expect for this to play out. I mean, and for the possibility for him to return here. I mean, I think that's what you can expect, but it's nothing's given, decided, or anything like that. It does tell me if he plays, it's definitely not I'm out, or more than likely he probably, I don't know. I don't want to suggest that. But I don't think he's just like destined to exit the premises, and head to the NFL or anything like that, or maybe you wouldn't play in this game. I think the decision is still very much up in the air. I think that there's a very real possibility that he returns. I tried to kind of indicate that a bit last week when we kind of talked about this. I think with Taj's just situation and his, what would be the knock on him is, lack of top end speed. There's just no guarantees. And if there's a better situation here to where he can, with NIL and all that, because that's what some of these college players are doing right now. It's like, you know what, I'm going to squeeze everything out I can out of my college experience because it's more of a bird in the hand, and like I'm a known quantity around here. My name is worth something. I mean, all the stuff. And, whereas if you go with the draft, I mean, it's a crapshoot. I mean, maybe you're picked, maybe you're not, maybe you're a free agent, maybe you get cut if you just don't know, or I've got something that's potentially guaranteed, which is ability to earn revenue, with whatever he may want to look at. So those are all conversations I'm sure going on with Taj. But I mean, I selfishly, how much fun would that be if he was back? And it's funny because I mean that's really going to be the storyline in this bowl game that he is playing, because the on the other side, Jaden Ott, for Cal. These are, I mean, how many times have we seen this in the last month with the storyline in your game? I mean, and Ollie Gordon was always out there, but it's like, you had UCF's running back, you had, Kansas's duo, that's been a bit of a storyline, and it's going to be in this bowl game as Cal's running back and your running back are two of the top, 7 in the country as far as rushing yards. So, that'll be kind of how this game is promoted, in my opinion. Who has the better game there? Who can stop the other guy better and all that? But yeah, Taj, I expect him to play in this bowl game.
I mean, that's really wild to consider, and that's one of those aspects that I certainly enjoy about the NIL era. And if you're one of those out there saying NIL is ruining college sports, except when it brings back one of the 3 best running backs Tech has had this millennium, then it's a really good thing. Because it comes down to this, Chris. I think, previously you're talking about the crapshoot and the unknown and bird in the hand, and that's all true. But previously, I thought it was very simple. Another year where you're not making money but risking your ability to make money in the future via injury is untenable for these players. I don't know who would think, and some obviously would make the choice to come back and play school for another year. Cardale Jones wouldn't, but others would. And that's fine. But the majority of them, it's a business decision. And if I'm in their shoes in a previous non-NIL era and I'm thinking about, all right, another 12 games, maybe 13 games, especially if you're a ball carrier. I mean, that's kind of a position unique unto itself within this conversation. But just speaking in general,
I think Taj knows this, but I also think that it wouldn't make a lot of sense for him to necessarily return here if it wasn't for NIL. He needs to go see what's out there and make the most of it and all that. But that's not the case because the NIL is available and a thing. And who knows what all can go on with him there and what opportunities are available for him. But it's all on the up and up. It's all, legal. It's all, whether it's Matador Club or whoever, company that he wants to rep. I mean, that's a real possibility. And like I said, it's bird in the hand, like it's guaranteed, versus, okay, I'm going to roll the dice, man.
Right.
And I'm going to see if they call my name or if I get a call, and he would absolutely be a part of an NFL situation. I just don't know what that would look like. Is it third round pick? Is it undrafted free agent? Is it who the heck knows? And I think that's kind of the gamble, that he would be taking, or he could stay here for another year. And so we'll see how it plays out. But I'm just glad that he's playing in Shreveport because he'll be clearly a focus of yours, and understandably so.
Yeah, only time will tell what his future would hold, and wouldn't blame him either way. Right now in the NIL era, if he chose to try to strike while the iron was really hot and take his talents to the next level and see what he can squeeze out of that, or I guess try to heat up the iron even further with another great year and maybe with a little bit more security, knowing that you're not going to risk every single dollar that you could possibly make if something did go the wrong way. Okay.
And you can take out insurance policies too, just to protect yourself. Like I get, if he were to return, I think there's insurance policies he can take out to where if something were to happen to him, then he's covered and protected. And there's all kinds of, avenues to protect yourself too in this space.
Okay. Well, transfer portal wise, let's get back to that. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Heat up the action and keep the sports flames stoked this winter with America's #1 sportsbook and the official sportsbook of Locked On. There's nothing nicer than cuddling up by the warmth of a nice prop bet or a player parlay. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action with their safe, secure, and easy-to-use app where it's all at your fingertips. And of course, when you win with FanDuel, you're always paid instantly. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 back if your team wins. You'd be a fool not to take a bite out of that apple. So get to FanDuel.com/lockedon and sign up today for your shot at $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet that hits with FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Transfer portal wise, let's get back to that because probably the two busiest, I guess there's no probably about it, the two busiest categories for a Tech fan so far has been along the offensive line and within your group of pass catchers. Chris, I know that really some of these have come across and you maybe anticipated them. They weren't a surprise to you. Some of these seasons maybe have led to this conclusion being the only logical conclusion for some of these guys. But we haven't had a chance yet to sit down and talk about Monroe Mills, who I thought was an interesting addition to the portal and maybe a little bit surprising to me, but I may have just not known what I needed to know. But I'm not sure how I feel about it either as a fan, because even within an offensive line that left a lot to be desired, I felt like he was one of your more reliable pieces, and maybe I'm overstating it. I don't know. So I'm a little conflicted on oh yeah, addition by subtraction, because that's the talking point anybody hits the portal, right? Like, of course, we're going to get somebody better than this guy, whether it's reality or not. That's kind of the initial reaction. But, I appreciated Monroe Mills as a Red Raider. And I was curious to hear if you were surprised by this at all and how you actually kind of processed it personnel-wise.
I was slightly surprised. I think there was some interest in him returning. I also think that I think he wants to see what he's worth out there on the open market. That's what I think personally. I think that, with some of these players that, Joey's got a core group of guys that he may visit with, and kind of like, okay, kind of like a leadership council,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Taj Brooks was a part of that, and like your Bryce Ramirez is and people like that. And I guess you kind of consult there. Hey man, what are your thoughts here? Do we need to do everything we can to bring back or to whatever? And I can't say that this happened with any of these portal entries, but I know that typically that's kind of Joey's talked about this, just kind of like a core group from a player's standpoint, because he's very particular on culture. And that's why I don't think this is a program that will ever just go all in on the portal. Like some of these programs out there, they're going to take 30 to 40 kids out of the portal and just totally flip their roster. And for some out there, it will work. For some, it won't. But he's always going to dabble in it. But the majority is going to be high school kids, and then developing. And you run the risk of, when you do that, you can lose them. Now, what Monroe, he's going to go from Oklahoma State to Texas Tech and to insert, next school here. So, that's kind of some of these guys it's about, maximizing their worth, I guess, and they are more than allowed to do that. This isn't a criticism. This is the system. If this is what anybody on any roster wants to go do, they have that right to be able to do it, especially if you're a grad transfer. Because then at that point, nobody's worried about, well, you've transferred too many times. No, you can go do whatever you want, and all that. Go wherever and all that. So I can't put my, I don't know what Monroe Mills is best for him or where he wants to play ball. Is it, does he want to be closer to home? Is there family considerations? Is it about money? Is it about, who the heck knows? Is it about a major, in another institution?
Yeah.
Who the heck knows, man? But I do think, I personally think this was one about just seeing what he would be worth on the open market. But you will move on. You will not. I don't think this is not a. Yeah, I mean, you will not, he will not play in your bowl game.
More power to him. Who will play in the bowl game? Coach McGuire also gave his answer on what the offensive line could look like if they were kicking it off today.
We were playing right now. We're running out of the tunnel. We're playing right now. I expect Ty Buchanan at left tackle. You've got Jacoby Jackson at left guard. I think Cole's going to be in a position to where he possibly can play. You have Dennis Wilburn at center. You'll have Rusty Stats at right guard, and you'll have Caleb Rogers at right tackle. Matt Keeler will be right tackle behind Caleb. He's also played left tackle in games, so he could play some left tackle. And then you start getting into like Sheridan Wilson, which was already our backup center, will be there. Caden Carr has at different times been the number 2 at guard. And so that was one thing we feel really good, and I'm excited. I mean, I get a text from Ty Buchanan and say, hey, let's roll, coach. And so my expectation with him is to move him to right tackle in the spring. But I know he's really excited to start at left tackle, in the game against Cal.
And here's the other aspect of that. Less than 2 weeks until that game against Cal. So a lot of what you hear Coach McGuire referring to there is this guy's already done that or this guy's already done that. Will certainly have to be leaned on. As for the pass catchers, Chris, we talked about obviously Miles Price, Jerron Bradley being in the transfer portal. Don't know if that conversation's over just yet, but Coach McGuire also spoke on what he anticipates it looking like among that group when they kick things off in Shreveport.
If we were in, 11 personnel, you're going to have Coy Aiken at the outside receiver. You're going to have Xavier White at the slot. And then you'll have Jordan Brown at the other outside receiver. And then, of course, Mason and Baylor at tight ends. If we were going 10 personnel, you'll have Coy, you'll have X, you'll have Dre McCray, And then Dre McCray and X will do a lot slot wise. We got Brady Boyd, and then Jordan Brown. And so then you add in the young guys, and I'm probably going to miss somebody. So you have Loic still that's behind Coy. Then you got DJ Crest that he plays the outside. TJ West has played more of the outside during practice, and Kelby has been more of the inside. And so, we feel good about the guys we have, the guys that have played a lot. Xavier White leads us in yards after catch, and he might be our leading receiver when you're talking about yards overall. Coy has had a great season coming back from his injury. Jordan Brown early in the season when he was healthy was a dynamic receiver. And so we feel good. We feel good about the guys that we have.
Really, Chris, this is one of those things, and there's plenty I'm going to miss about Miles Price, but this is one of those things that I don't know if the actual impact felt would be all that different with the collection you have still remaining compared to what we got the majority of the season. Does that make sense? I mean, you were leaning on a lot of the guys that you're going to lean on again in Shreveport, already for the past few months to really make impact.
Yeah, who your receivers that he mentions, really, that's who you went at it with in Austin. And I think UCF largely too, in those last two games of the regular season. And Bradley was. This is my term, but Bradley was. He was sat down or benched or whatever. I think Joey was even asked about this after the UT game. It was like, hey, just different personnel groups, but he came out, really didn't ever go back in after there was 2 interceptions on plays that were throw or balls that were thrown to him, and he just kind of got the ball wrestled away a bit both times. So, Miles Price, I thought, I think Miles is a good player, but again, as we've talked about, man, it's like he has a hard time staying available. I think he gets dinged up a bit. I think everybody thought he could play that last game. He didn't. Don't know what the deal was there. But that's just kind of unfortunately. And then last year, you remember, he just was hobbling around for about a month in the middle of the year due to a high ankle sprain, I guess it was. And just so, and he dealt with some issues this year too. But yeah, Coy and Jordan Brown, that's kind of who you want to go with into the future with too. With some of these pieces, Micah Hudson's going to show up. You hear Joey talk about the 3 freshmen, and you're going to continue to add to that group. You're going to bring in some portal guys, and you hear him talk about Xavier White and yards after catch.
Yeah,
that's a number one on if we're going to try to bring in somebody here. You got to have some juice. You got to have some speed. And granted, everybody's going to want those same type of guys, but we got to get faster is what they're going to say internally, and that's what they'll try to do.
Man, would love to see Xavier White, hometown kid, finish with a flourish. Super senior, right? This is our last go round with number 14, I think.
Correct.
December 16th. So hopefully he'll get plenty of looks, and hopefully it'll all add up to good things for the Red Raiders. Stay with us throughout the week as these things will continue to come from all directions, and we'll have, of course, also some things to consider on coaching fronts, as we've had a couple of Red Raider coaches interviewing for jobs. We've talked about those in a previous week, and of course, now we'll see some decisions made coming up very, very soon, and obviously getting ready for the Golden Bears of California. I had some bowl game thoughts on yesterday's episode, so check out our episode from Sunday if you haven't so far. Chris, enjoyed it as always, my man. Thanks for the time and insight, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Sounds good, man. Keep hope alive, everybody. Yeah, and keep paying attention today, tomorrow, and the coming day. I'm telling you, pay attention. Talk to you tomorrow.
You wake up, you shut your eyes, you blink, and you got a new team.
Yep, that's right. Speed dating.
That's right. That's exactly right. Hit the bell, put your name tag on, and say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Okay, for Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode, and we hope to see you back here for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.